This presentation is about how to organize your ideas and how to develop those ideas into solid paragraphs in your comparative literary analysis. First, let's discuss organizing the subtopic. The rule of thumb here is to organize your ideas by the subtopics instead of by the epics or the sources. What does it mean? Alright, to take an example, you want to focus on the role of the divine and wisdom or knowledge in your essay. If you organize your essay by ideas or by subtopics, what you will do is first you talk about the role of the divine based on Gilgamesh, and later on you talk about the role of the divine in the Mahabharata. Once you're done with that, you will move on to the next subtopic, which is wisdom and knowledge. Here again you will discuss wisdom and knowledge as it appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then you move on to the Mahabharata. This is what I recommend for you. Some of you might want to do something different. Based on the outlines that I received earlier, I found that some of you wanted to organize the paper by the sources. I would discourage you from doing this because it is less effective in highlighting the similarities and differences of the two epics in terms of these ideas. And remember, your task here is to make a comparative literary analysis. Pay attention to the word comparative here. So I recommend you to organize your ideas by the subtopics, not by the epics. The second thing is about how to develop a discussion. Eventually, for every subtopic, I would like you to have at least 3 paragraphs. What are the 3 paragraphs? Let's start here. For example, you want to discuss the role of the divine. Start your discussion by mentioning that you are going to discuss about the role of the divine in 2 epics. Consider that the topic sentence of the entire section. Next, you start with a statement about the role of the divine in the Mahabharata. For example, here you want to argue that the divine has too big of a role in the Mahabharata. Make that your claim. Then support your claim with quotations or paraphrases. Anything that can make it clear that in the Mahabharata, the divine has too big of a role. After presenting your quotation or paraphrases, you can elaborate on the supporting quotations or paraphrases. Make it clear. This is usually the longest part of your discussion because what you have to do here is to explain why or how your quotations or paraphrases are relevant to the claim that you made earlier. And of course, as always, it is recommended to end your paragraph with a concluding remark. It's always good to wrap up your discussion by reminding your audience again what you have just talked about. So here you have done the first task, which is explaining the role of the divine in the Mahabharata. You can go to the next paragraph where you will start talking about the role of the divine in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Present your claim over here. Maybe your claim is that the role of the divine in the Gilgamesh is not so big, for example. Then you will continue with providing the supporting quotations or paraphrases. Anything that can make your claim clear, anything that can explain or anything that suggests that in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the role of the divine is not very important. After presenting your quotations, you will have to elaborate on the quotations or paraphrases, just like what you did in the first paragraph when you discussed the role of the divine in the Mahabharata. And again, end your paragraph with a concluding remark, which is always good. Now, so far you have 2 paragraphs, right? You have talked about the role of the divine in the Mahabharata and the role of the divine in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Next, you will need to give a paragraph that synthesizes the role of the divine in the Gilgamesh and the role of the divine in the Mahabharata. If, based on your analysis, there are a lot of similarities, then this is where you make a relation between both of them. And at the end, you close with a concluding remark. So once you're done with this, you will already have 3 paragraphs at least, right? a paragraph about the role of the divine in the Mahabharata, and about the role of the divine in the Gilgamesh, and the synthesis between two. Once you're done with this, you can move on to the next subtopic, which is maybe wisdom or knowledge, and you will do the same thing again like previously. So, what we have talked about in this presentation is, first, to organize your paper by the ideas or by the subtopics instead of by the epics. And the second one is, when you organize your paper by the ideas, you will need to develop each idea or develop each focus into at least 3 paragraphs. One paragraph that talks about the Epic of Gilgamesh, one paragraph that talks about the Mahabharata, and one paragraph that synthesizes your discussion in the preceding 2 paragraphs. Once again, I'd like to remind you that this is just the simplest way to develop your ideas into solid paragraphs. If you can find a better strategy, you are welcome to do that. This is just something to help you get started. Thank you so much, and good luck.